This is Nagorno-Karabakh, a breakaway region in the center of dispute between Armenia and Azerbaijan. The line of contact was formed in 1994 to separate armed forces between the two countries after a deadly war. The enclave in the South Caucasus is internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan, but it is controlled by ethnic Armenians. And most recently, military clashes between the two countries erupted, leading to hundreds of casualties, with each accusing the other of firing missiles at the other's territory, including civilian areas.
Tragedy, while Iran has warned that it could escalate into a wider regional war.
For us, it's a patriotic war. We are defending ourselves. We want to restore our territorial integrity to allow 1 million refugees to go back.
What we are facing is an Azerbaijani-Turkish international terroristic attack on Nagorno-Karabakh.
The situation in Nagorno-Karabakh can have global implications. Russia has backed Armenia over a past military pact, and Azerbaijan has been backed by Turkey over a common heritage and political views. The United States, having stepped back from global geopolitics, could take an interesting role in this debate. What will the European Union do and their member states, as one of the largest oil pipelines to their region could be disrupted by this conflict? Can they afford another humanitarian crisis, which could develop in the region, the likes of which we've seen in Syria and Yemen in the past? Can they afford another crisis in general, with the current pandemic destroying their systems and putting their governments at stake? Only you can tell. Join this committee as one of our 15 member states and help solve this crisis and potentially bring peace to Nagorno-Karabakh.
Hi, my name is Marie. And I'm Virginia, and we will be running the Human Rights Committee for MUN Day in November. We will be addressing the same topic, but it will be split across two committees, and we will each be chairing one of them. So the issue that we will be debating is the persecution of the Uyghur Muslims, a Turkic minority, and especially in the province of Xinjiang in China.
So this is a bit of background information to help you make your choice. So Uyghur Muslims are a Turkic-speaking minority ethnic group, and they live scattered around the world, but mostly in the Xinjiang province in China, which is where they are being persecuted.
So why are they persecuted? So in the past in China, there have been some terrorist attacks by people who have claimed to be Uyghur Muslims. So they are now labeled in China as extremists and terrorists. And the purpose of these camps is to rid them of their identity, traditions, and to indoctrinate them into the Chinese system.
So how are they persecuted? So they are placed in so-called re-education camps, which are publicized as schools, to help them better integrate the Chinese community, but they are in reality places in which various human rights violations occur.
Upon their arrival, all of them are shaved, they're blindfolded, and they're handcuffed.
While they are there, some breaches to human rights include rape, the physical and sexual abuse of women, especially.
Forced sterilization for women. All women are fitted with an IUD upon arrival, and if that doesn't work, surgeries take place to sterilize them. Destruction of their mosques.
Additionally, the way they are punished and sanctioned if they don't obey include being put on tiger chairs, which electrocute them.
And we have a testimony of a woman who was a part of these camps, and she was put on the tiger electric chair, and this is what she has to say.
I was electrocuted. My whole body would shake violently, and I could feel the pain in my veins. I thought I would rather die than go through this torture. I begged them to kill me.
Thank you very much for listening, guys. We have a really interesting list of countries prepared for you guys to represent, and we are sure the debate will be very, very fruitful and interesting. We hope that you will join our committee to participate in and to debate in on actual MUN Day, and we hope to see you there. Thank you.
Hi guys, it's Maria and I'm here to introduce you to one of the human rights committees which will be debating at the Model United Nations Day at St. Clare's. I'm going to be co-leading this committee with Chimdi, and our debate is based on the Belarusian dictatorship. Topics like oppression of freedom of speech, foul political play will be coming up, and it's a very, very interesting and current topic. So if you're interested in politics, come and join our committee. It's going to be lots of fun, and you'll get to choose to be delegates for the following countries like Belarus, Russia, the United Kingdom, United States of America, China, France, Italy, you name it, we got it. So come be a part of our committee. And here's a short video to tell you a little bit more about the topic.
So hello guys, this committee is called Access to Justice for Vulnerable People, and it will be chaired by Adrian. So why should you choose this topic? First of all, it's a topic that people too often forget because we just don't realize that in a lot of countries in the world, people don't have access to this justice they deserve. So let's look at the facts. 2/3 of the world population lack legal documentation. This is already an indicator of how people lack the basic needs to go to court. $1 trillion is spent on bribes every year. This explains the low level of trust in authorities in so many countries that also prevent people from going to court. And cases of discrimination against minorities and women are common. And this is the case as much in developing countries as it is the case for developed countries, which proves that this topic has relevance for all type of countries, regardless of their financial resources. So, flawed justice systems have deterred people from using their legal rights, and this is the problem of all the other issues, is that it has cumulative effects that just pushes people not to try to use their legal rights. So what are we going to try to do about it? We're going to look at the problems that most countries share, the issues and depending on the situation, and try to reach common goals. And then the most important part is ensuring that we support those people in every step of the legal process they have to go through. And so I hope to see you guys soon to discuss about this, and thank you for listening.
Okay, so our committee will be on the death penalty and whether or not it should be abolished. It will be part of a Human Rights Council, and it will be chaired by both me, Fabian, and Alana. In 1992, Cameron Todd Willingham, a US citizen, was convicted of arson and murder and then sentenced to death after 12 years in prison. So only a decade later, after he was convicted and executed, the Texas State Department revealed that the evidence submitted in his trial was not valid. The fire was actually a tragic accident. He was innocent. So every year, thousands of people are executed, of whom many are innocent or just simply dissidents in a political regime that is unforgiving and authoritarian. So from a local to an international, from a humanitarian and political perspective, the death penalty causes severe problems. Simultaneously, Singapore has instituted one of the most drastic and draconic capital offense system and executes several people a year with a population of just under 5 million. Singapore experiences almost no violent crime and levels of petty theft and similar crimes are lower than any other country in the Western world. So that indicates that this capital offence system does work. So if you want to join our debate, you will be debating about whether or not certain methods of execution are more humane, whether or not there should be a distinction between criminal and political sentences, how death penalty complies with the right to life granted by the Declaration of Human Rights, whether or not there should be exemptions for acts of treason during war times causing loss of life, and whether or not trade of substances related to the death penalty should be restricted. This is the list of countries you can choose from, and I just hope to see you in the conference. Thank you and goodbye.
What seemed unimaginable just a few decades ago is now commonplace. Cybercrime is more rife than ever and is not showing any signs of slowing down. As public and private sectors around the world prepare for the impending age of full digitalization by setting up cyber emergency response teams and recruiting experts to shield their sacred data from unwanted scrutiny that can be exposed by a single click of a button, experts predict that worldwide spending on cybersecurity is going to reach $150 billion by the time 2022 comes around. And yet for every step that technology advances society, the ethical foundations upon which it is built are shaken. With data breaches exposing more than 4 billion records in the first half of 2019, governments globally are aiming to set up universal rules that deal with and prosecute criminal offenses done in the cyberspace. This committee will aim to advance responsible state behavior in cyberspace in the context of international security through establishing a universal framework. The discussion of the topic will consider: should states be able to censor the expression of free speech online? How to prevent cyber attacks? What should the prosecution for cybercrimes constitute? Can cyberspaces be controlled for crime without restricting free speech, as well as many other points of view? If you wish to discuss these issues further and decide on a prominent solution for one of the most pending contemporary issues in the world today, join the Cybersecurity Committee. Thank you, and I hope to see you at the conference.
وين أبوك؟ وين؟ وين مات؟ شنو متريقة متغدية متعشية؟ احكي.
You may have heard about the ongoing conflict in Yemen, the Arab world's poorest country. Foreign powers have taken sides among the warring parties, and the whole region is a battlefield. Thousands have been killed in the chaos which the UN describes as the world's worst humanitarian crisis. The conflict has emerged since the Cold War, and has changed from a clash of ideology to a proxy war between powers in the Middle East. For decades of endless fightings, the land of Yemen has been turned into a cruel battlefield. Almost a third of the Saudi-led coalition airstrikes have targeted non-military zones, such as marketplaces, schools, hospitals, wedding ceremonies, and even funerals. The UN says at least 10,000 Yemenis had died in the year of 2017, and to date, the number hasn't been updated. More than 3 million people have been displaced, and millions of Yemenis trapped in the conflict are at the risk of starvation and disease. A man-made war, man-made hunger, and the grip of coronavirus is destroying this already broken country. Fellow delegates, today, it is our duty to restore the once rich and diverse Yemeni culture, to end the conflict that is destroying thousands of years of heritage, and negotiate for the well-being of millions of Yemeni citizens. Join the Yemen Crisis Conference, and together, let's make changes possible.
As countries around the world begin to ease their coronavirus restrictions, a lot of people are wondering whether or not we'll go back to the way life was and the world was before the corona.
That there wasn't really a sort of complete deglobalization that we were going to see. And a lot of what was happening seemed to be something which had set in a little bit before, where trends towards economic nationalism.
It was a test of endurance for EU leaders. 4 days of tough negotiations where tempers often frayed. Finally, on the 5th, a deal. $859 billion in non-repayment grants and loans to member countries worst affected by the coronavirus pandemic.
We've laid the financial foundations for the EU for the next 7 years, and at the same time came up with a response to the biggest crisis in the history of the European Union with the Recovery Fund.
A marathon which ended in success for all 27 member states, but especially for the people. This is a good deal, this is a strong deal, and most importantly, this is the right deal for Europe right now.
The only way out of this is a vaccine. And the big worry was always, even if they came up with a vaccine, would we be able to produce them at the scale and the level that we needed to in order to distribute them across the world? And
negative interest rates make me very nervous. However, I don't think the authorities had much choice. It's politically impossible to do big stimulus rapidly. And the only weapon they had in a crisis was to print money and change interest rates.
Hi everyone, I'm Milana, your chair for the Economics Committee for the MUN 2020, and the topic of our debate will be focused on the recovery of the global and individual countries' economy from COVID-19. You can see the topics that we can talk about below, and I hope to see you in Economics Committee, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me.
Welcome to the Science and Technology Committee for the MUN. Did you know that artificial intelligence has increased by 300% in the last 5 years? AI is on the rise, and for this, it will be the topic of our debate. What rights should AI be given? Presently, AI are able to make independent decisions, to learn, and to identify. But what's next? To feel? If this is the case, should there not be rights protecting them from abuse? What place should they be allowed to hold in the global society? And what must we keep from them to protect humanity? These are all questions that you can debate in my committee to come to a final resolution. What would this final resolution lead to? Would it aim to protect or persecute this intelligence? If these topics and questions interest you, please join my committee. I'm Skyfass, and this is the best committee, Science and Technology. Thank you.
Hi guys, we are the chairs for this year's Economics Committee, and the topic that we are going to be talking about for this year's MUN Day is reducing income inequalities between the sexes as well as other minorities. My name is Dami and
my name is Felicia. So first we're just going to talk you through what income inequality actually means. So it's usually referred to as the gender wage gap, which is that historically and statistically women earn less than men, and this is something that exists in all countries, but obviously in some more than others. But there is also income inequality in terms of discrimination against smaller minorities, such as ethnic groups, religions, sexual orientations, etc.
Yeah. So what are some of the causes of economic inequalities? First, we have horizontal segregation, which basically means that you have different concentrations of men and women in different positions of unemployment. For example, you would have men in more senior positions of the same job than you would have women. Another cause is breaks from the labor market. So for example, when women have to take maternity leave and they get paid less because of their maternity leave. Okay. What are some policies that your country could use to reduce economic inequalities?
So there's so many policies, but obviously we would want to inspire you to look at how your country that you will choose, what their approach to these policies are. But there's obviously governmental interference,
enforced paternity leave,
subsidized childcare,
transparency in salary,
mentoring programs,
and eliminate negotiations. why should you join? Because there is so much to say about this topic. Whether your country has a large gender pay gap or a small gender pay gap, there's a lot you can say. Because if it has a large gender pay gap, then you could debate about what policies you think would best help. If yours has a small gender pay gap, then you can say what policies have helped you get that small gender pay gap.
Exactly, but most importantly, because it's a very important and fun topic, and we would have a great
a great time.
Yeah.